What if a book could break your heart, transport you to another world, and frustrate you all at once? Hi, I'm Ridhima. Welcome to The Old Trunk. Today we're talking about a book that has been everywhere, long-listed, shortlisted, praised to the skies, sitting on every bestseller list, and a favorite in literary circles. The language is lush, the imagery is vivid, and the atmosphere is steeped in a deep sense of time, place, and culture. Yes, I'm talking about The Covenant of Water by Abraham Verghese. And look, I really wanted to love this book. I mean, how could I not? It's sprawling, it's ambitious, it spans generations, takes us through sweeping historical and emotional landscapes, and offers a window into a particular community's way of life in southern India. And at the heart of it all are characters who are tender, resilient, and deeply human. It's literary fiction at its peak. And it's written by Abraham Verghese, a man who writes like he's weaving silk through air. But this book really tested me. And not in the, oh, it's so emotionally heavy kind of way. I'm talking about the pages upon pages of detailed, deeply technical medical procedures that, let me be honest here, kind of dragged the whole reading experience down for me. So, if you're someone who's considered picking this up and wants a different take, or if you've read it and are wondering, was it just me? Stick around. Let's unpack The Covenant of Water, the things I appreciated, the things that didn't work for me, and why I'm still a little conflicted about the overall experience. The Covenant of Water is a multi-generational family saga set in Kerala, India. Spanning from 1900 to 1977, it follows a Christian family grappling with a mysterious affliction that affects them across generations. The story weaves together themes of love, loss, faith, and the evolution of medicine in a lush, water soaked setting. Kerala, with its rivers, canals, and backwaters, is practically a character in itself, and Verghese uses it to ground the sprawling narrative. The book's scope is ambitious. It delves into inherited illness, the fragility of the body, and how families learn to carry both silence and survival. It explores grief and healing, not just in the physical sense, but in the emotional and generational sense too. It examines class, caste, and the complicated dance between tradition and change. There's faith too, both religious and secular, and an aching hope that threads through even the darkest moments. All of this is handled with intelligence and grace. You've got colonial India, the push for independence, the rise of communism, and medical advancements all woven into the backdrop. It's epic in every sense, like 100 Years of Solitude meets Cutting for Stone, Verghese's earlier bestseller. And at its heart, it's about human connection, resilience, and the searching for meaning in the face of tragedy. Now I'm going to be real with you. The story hooked me. It's emotional, it's layered, and it's got this slow burn intensity that keeps you turning pages. The characters feel like people you could meet, and their struggles hit hard. But, and this is a big but, the book's obsession with detailed medical procedures, oh man, it tested me, because while this book is about family and history and fate, it is also about surgery, about anatomy, about the structure of the human brain, about how to conduct a laparotomy, about cholera, tuberculosis, neurology, dermatology, leprosy, you name it. And Verghese, being a doctor himself, goes into all of it in exquisite, and I mean exquisite detail. Don't get me wrong, I appreciate research, I appreciate expertise, but there's a difference between weaving knowledge into a story and letting it take over. And in this case, it felt like the latter. Page after page of detailed medical procedures, anatomical explanations, and long digressions into the history of medicine began to drown what made the novel so moving to begin with: its characters and their deeply personal journeys. So, why did I love the story? Let me paint you a picture. Imagine a family in rural Kerala living in a world where water is everywhere: rivers, lagoons, monsoon rains. The family is tied by love and also by something darker, a condition that haunts them. I won't say more to avoid spoilers, but this mystery drives the narrative. It's not a thriller, it's more like a slow, lyrical unfolding of lives across decades. What's brilliant is how Verghese balances the personal and the historical. The family stories feel intimate. You're in their homes, their hearts. But it's set against massive changes in India. You see the British Raj, the fight for independence, and shifts in societal structures like the caste system. It's never heavy handed though. Verghese doesn't lecture you on history, he lets it seep through the characters' lives. For example, you feel the weight of colonialism through a character's interactions with British officials, or the hope of independence through a young person's dreams. The pacing is deliberate. Some might say slow, but I found it immersive. It's like sinking into a warm bath. You're not racing to the end, you're living with these people. The story structure, divided into 10 parts, helps you track the generations, and each part feels like a mini novel. There's tragedy, yes, but also joy, humor, and moments of quiet beauty. I laughed, I cried, I felt all the feels. But here's the thing: that kind of emotional richness, that ability to make us care so deeply, gets severely disrupted by the constant, exhaustive detours into the medical territory. And I'm not just talking about a few descriptive scenes for authenticity. I'm talking entire chapters that read like anatomy textbooks. As a physician, Verghese clearly loves medicine, and it shows. The book is packed with scenes of surgeries, diagnosis, and medical training, often described in vivid technical details. If you're a doctor or a med student, you might eat this up. Or you are someone who loves medicine, who is fascinated by the history of surgery, who enjoys reading about clinical procedures with emotional weight layered on top, you'll adore this book. But for me, it felt like hitting a speed bump every few chapters. I'd be lost in the story, rooting for a character, and then bam, we're in a 10-page description of a brain surgery. I get it, medical is central to the story, but did we need that much detail? It slowed the momentum and made me skim, which I hate doing with a book this good. I kept thinking, Abraham, you're a genius, but this isn't Grey's Anatomy. I didn't come here for detailed dissections. I would not like to put my emotional connection on pause. So can we get back to the story? The family drama. It's not that the medical scenes are badly written, they're fascinating in their own way. It's just too much. I wanted more of the characters' emotions, less of the scalpel's path. Okay, rant over for now. Let's talk about the characters, because they're the heart of this book. The characters in The Covenant of Water are what makes this book unforgettable. Verghese creates a sprawling cast, but I'll focus on four major players: Big Amachi, Philippos, Elsie, and Digby Kilgore. Each represents a different facet of the story's themes, and their arcs are deeply tied to the family's journey and the broader context of Kerala. Bigamachi. She's the matriarch, the emotional anchor of the story. We meet her as a young girl thrust into a challenging situation and watch her grow into a woman of strength and grace. Bigamachi is the glue holding her family together, navigating loss and change with quiet resilience. In the context of the story, she embodies Kerala's matriarchal traditions and the enduring power of faith. She's not flashy or rebellious. Her strength is in her steadfastness. While some readers might find her too passive, too accepting of her role, to me, that's what makes her compelling. She's a product of her time, yet she finds ways to assert her agency. Philippos, Big Amachi's son. Philippos is a dreamer with a sharp mind. He's ambitious, flawed, and deeply human. His journey reflects the tension between personal aspirations and family duty, set against India's shifting social landscape. Philippos is fascinating because he's not a hero. He makes mistakes, big ones, and you want to shake him sometimes, but you also root for him because he's trying to find his place in a changing world. In the context of the story, he represents the next generation grappling with modernity while tethered to tradition. His arc is one of the most emotionally complex, and Verghese does a great job showing his growth without making it neat or tidy. Elsie. Elsie is an artist, a woman of quiet intensity and fierce independence. She enters the story later, and her presence shakes things up. Elsie's role highlights themes of art as therapy and the struggle for self expression in a patriarchal society. She's not just a love interest, she's a force with her own dreams and demons. In Kerala's conservative context, Elsie stands out as a woman who defies expectations. But she's not a caricature of a strong woman character. Her vulnerabilities make her relatable. And her story had me on edge, wondering how she'd navigate her challenges. I will say, though, I wanted more of Elsie. Her arc felt a bit overshadowed by others at times. Digby Kilgore. Digby is a Scottish doctor who arrives in India during the colonial era. He's an outsider, and his perspective offers a counterpoint to the family's story. Digby's arc is about finding belonging in a foreign land, grappling with privilege and confronting personal trauma. In the context of the story, he represents the intersection of Western medicine and Indian culture, as well as the moral complexities of colonialism. Digby is fascinating because he's not a savior or a villain. He's just a guy trying to do right in a messy world. His medical expertise ties into the book's themes. But yes, you guessed it. His scenes often dive into those lengthy procedures that frustrated me. These characters are so well drawn, you feel like you know them. Verghese gives each a distinct voice and perspective, and their interactions drive the story's emotional core. But here's where the medical details hurt. Sometimes the focus on surgeries or diagnosis overshadows the characters' inner lives. For example, Digby's medical work is crucial, but I wanted more of his emotional journey, not another page about suturing. It's like Verghese got so excited about the science that he forgot to balance it with the heart. I think the intent was to show how intertwined medicine and life were for these characters. But after a point, it starts feeling less like thematic depth and more like self indulgence. Like Verghese couldn't quite separate his two loves, storytelling and surgery, and ended up smothering one with the other. Let's talk about the writing now. Abraham Verghese's writing is, in one word, exquisite. He's got a gift for prose that's both lyrical and precise. His style is immersive, evocative, and deeply compassionate, blending the eye of a poet with the precision of a surgeon. His descriptions of Kerala, the backwaters, the monsoons, the trees, the smells of the kitchen, they're vivid, sensory, and immersive. He writes about the landscape with such love that you can almost smell the rain or feel the humidity. He describes the backwaters as a child's fantasy of rivulets, of canals, a maze of lagoons where water and sky blur. It's poetic, but never purple. Every word feels necessary. This sets the tone for the story, making the setting a living, breathing part of the narrative. Verghese has a knack for capturing the human condition. You're not just reading about them, you're spending time with them. You're watching them grow, change, and struggle. There's grace, there's melancholy, and there's the warm bath of empathy that just seeps through every character. Whether it's Begamachi's quiet grief or Philippo's restless ambition, Verghese gets under their skin. He's not afraid to linger on small moments. A glance, a touch, a memory. And those details make the big moments hit harder. It's like he's saying, look, these people's lives matter, every bit of them. His prose has a rhythm. The sentences flow like the rivers in Kerala, sometimes meandering, sometimes rushing. He uses repetition and metaphor to tie the story together. Water, of course, is a recurring motif, symbolizing life, loss, and connection. The book's title, The Covenant of Water, reflects this, suggesting a bond that's both beautiful and inescapable. Even the structure, with its 10 parts and illustrations by Verghese's cousin, feel deliberate, like a tapestry being woven. But here's where I have to circle back to my criticism. The writing in the medical scenes is so good. Verghese's medical knowledge is a double-edged sword. He describes procedures, say a hand surgery or a complicated birth, with the same vividness as a sunset or a family dinner. It's impressive, but it's also overwhelming. I found myself skimming these parts not because they were boring, but because they felt like a detour from the story I cared about. It's like watching a movie where the director keeps pausing to explain how the camera works. Interesting maybe, but not what I signed up for. I get that medicine is Verghese's passion and it's central to the plot, but I wish he'd dialed it back. A few key scenes would have been enough. We didn't need a masterclass in neurosurgery. This also affects the pacing of the book. Structurally, The Covenant of Water is slow, which I don't mind in theory. I actually love slow burn narratives. But here the slowness feels like a kind of narrative congestion. The story keeps stopping to catch its breath because the book insists on giving us a medical lecture, and then another, and then another. Still, the writing overall is a masterclass in storytelling. Verghese's ability to blend history, culture, and personal drama is seamless. He's compared to Dickens and Eliot, and I see why. His scope is huge, but his focus is human. If you love lush, character-driven prose, this book will blow you away. Just be ready to wade through some technical jargon. So, where does this leave me? The Covenant of Water is a book I wanted to love unconditionally. And I almost did. The story is gripping, the characters are unforgettable, and the writing is some of the best I've read in recent years. It's a testament to Verghese's skill that he can juggle so many themes: family, faith, medicine, history, and make it feel cohesive. But those lengthy medical procedures, they were my kryptonite. They slowed the pace, broke the immersion, and made me wish for a sharper editor. I kept thinking this could easily have been 600 pages instead of 715, and it would have been perfect. Who's this book for? If you love epic historical fiction, multi generational sagas, or books that immerse you in a specific culture, you'll eat this up. If you're a medical professional or fascinated by science, the technical details might be a bonus. But if you're like me and prefer story over science, you might find yourself skimming entire sections just to get back to the story. And that's a shame. Buried beneath the clinical detail is a truly beautiful narrative. I'd still recommend it, but with a caveat. Go in knowing you'll need patience for the medical bits. Maybe keep a highlighter for the gorgeous prose and a bookmark for the surgical scenes. It's a book I admire more than I love. It's a brilliant book, but the medical overload kept it from being a masterpiece for me. If you've read it, I'd love to know what you think. Did the medical stuff work for you? Did it alleviate the story, or did it take away from it? Drop your thoughts in the comments. That's it for today's review. Thanks for hanging out with me for this deep dive into The Covenant of Water. If you enjoyed this, give it a thumbs up. Subscribe if you haven't already. Hit that bell icon so that you are notified of my next upload. And as always, keep reading, keep thinking, and I'll see you in the next one. Check the description for links to grab this book if you're curious. Until then, stay happy. Thanks for watching. Lots of love. Bye-bye.